Right, okay, we're on question 26, and let's see, as usual, we're going to go 26 all the way to 30. We're doing these in batches of 5. So let's see what's happening here. So we're told that a company uses, let's just get that out there, let's go purple. A company uses a standard costing system, and it says that the standard, so when we talk about standards, remember well, apart from sales, we're always talking about the inputs. The standard material input is 5 kilograms at a standard price of £2 per kilogram. That's what's going on. And this is really, these are the standards really. This is what we're expecting you to use and expecting you to spend on, if you like, purchasing, if you like, a unit of this input, if you like, or spending on a unit. So in terms of spending on units, that's what we're expecting you to spend on the raw materials to make a unit. And it says here that you made 1,100 units, right? So that's the situation. So the question here is, to make a unit, I'm expecting you see here per unit, I'm expecting you to use 5 kilograms of raw material and to buy each of these kilograms at £2. So technically I'm expecting you to spend £10, right, on a unit, and therefore I'm expecting you to spend the standard material cost on 1,100 units, or 1,100 units is pretty much therefore £11,000. So I'm not doing any variance analysis just yet. I'm just wanting to understand what is the standard material cost. Well, then this goes on. If this question could have pushed on to actually ask, well, how much did you actually spend? And then you would have spent £2.10 times that, and then you would have had your cost variance, and then you would have broken that down. So if the question had asked, well, how much did you actually spend? That's what you spent. So then we would break this down. The difference, there's a difference, isn't it? There's just a difference. There's a variance, a cost variance. Then we did break that variance down. So technically £2.10. They're not asking us for this. The answer here is B, by the way, right? So £2.10 times 5,400 is 11,340. So this is what you actually spent, and so the variance actually is 340. So the job, most of the tasks we see a lot are, how do we break this 340 into just the price variance and just the volume variance, right? And you can sort of see, because now technically I would expect to use 5 kilograms times 110 is 5500. That's what I'm expecting to use in terms of kilograms. You've used 5,400, so I can see that you used 100 kilograms less, so that's favorable. So I can start breaking this down, and I can multiply this therefore by the £2. So there's a £200 favorable volume variance. And we can carry on, and you do the same thing with price. Subtract 2, and then you have 10p, right? 2 times, and then you multiply that by the actual number of kilograms bought, which was, so that's a bit more expensive. You paid more, 10p more, and therefore that takes you to, here we have here 10p, if you, 0.1. So we have 540 adverse, right? That's 540 adverse. And when you do 540 and 200 favorable, you have 340 adverse, and that's what we see here. So that was just teaching. I'm just using a teaching tool again to explain what's going on here. But their answer here was just the standard, find just the initial starting point, which was that, which we did over here, finding the 11,000. Okay, great. So that's that question. That's 26. 27. So 27 says here that here, what are we doing? That what is the usage variance? So kind of what I'm saying now. I'm sure you're reading the question before we get here. I expect you to use 3. You're always looking for the standard inputs. That's what it is there, right? 3 kilograms. I expect you to use 3 kilograms to make each unit. So therefore, in terms of kilograms, in order to make 11,500 units, I'm expecting you to use 3 kilograms times 11,500, which is 34,500 kilograms. And I'm expecting you to buy each kilogram at £10 per kilogram. So technically, this is what I'm expecting you to do. And what you do, you go ahead and you use 36,000 kilograms. So you use 1,500 kilograms too much. So that's my volume, that's my usage variance. Just judging purely on usage, that's the difference. The difference. That's the difference. So so if that's the difference at £10, so you now have 1,500 times 10, giving you 15,000. So that's a £15,000 adverse variance. Cool, great. So that was question 27. So let's carry on with this. Question 28. Question 28. So what I was saying earlier on, typically, initially, there's always a cost variance. There's a cost variance. There's a difference between what you should have spent and what you, as far as the standard's concerned, and what you actually did. And like we said, that's broken up into a price variance and a usage variance, right? So this question is sort of saying, what's the usage variance? So they want you to find out, tell us what this is, but they're telling you the cost variance was this, 15,000 adverse, and the price variance was £12,000 favorable. So what does that mean? So the argument is that we found the difference and it was 15,000 too bad, but it had been favorable. You got some cheaper material, but you ended up using too much. So the question here is that this thing plus this thing gives you this thing. So the question here is, what is this thing? So this thing here must probably be 27,000 adverse, right? Because 27 minus 12 is what we get, 15. So the answer here is 27,000 adverse, because this is adverse in the end. And that's how you tackle this. There's always a cost variance, but we're trying to break it down to understand what's going on here. And then finally, 29, which is the last question here. What we see here is this question of LIFO. This is quite routine, but I think it's good practice. Make sure you're comfortable with it and practice it. Be careful of the word issue. What's the value of the issues? Because that's what they're looking for here. Sometimes the question might ask, what's the value of the closing inventory? I don't know, but it's just always make sure you're happy. Let's quickly run through it. So we have a scenario here where it says that on the 1st of May that you have some stock in place. I mean, it's just, you just make sure you're happy with, you have a method for making sure you keep you keep a good register of what's taking place. You're basically looking at what's happening in closing inventory in the warehouse. So it says on the 1st of May that's what you have, 160 items at 7,520, which actually brings us to 47. Each of this, when you divide 7,520 by 160, you get £47 per item, right? If you do that, 7,520. And then you're using LIFO, so you then go along and you buy some material on the 8th of May. You buy 200 items at £48. Okay, no problem. That's wonderful. Then it says that on the 16th of May that you issue out 150. So there's 150 items that come out of here that leave, if you like. So I haven't given myself enough room. So I'm just going to put this up here. I'm just going to go up here and do this. So you have 150 items that have been issued, and those 150 items, of course, are at £48. Right? So we have 50 items left. Then it says that on the 22nd of May, again, not giving myself very much room here, but it doesn't really matter. On the 22nd of May, we go ahead and we buy another 250. So I'm just going to put that 250 here. Buy another 250 items at £50. Okay. And then what do you now do? On the 27th of May, you issue 325. So what does that mean? These 250 leave, of course, they leave our warehouse and they go all the way. I'm just going to come up here. So we have 250 at £50. Well, it said 325. So then obviously these 50 have to leave as well, because it's last in, first out. So these 50 now leave at 48. And then finally, you need, well, 325. You've chucked out 300 so far. There's 25 left, and those 25 must come from here. So finally, you have 25 at £47. So in terms of what is the issue, you need to do 150 times 48 plus 250 times 50 plus 50 times 48 plus 25 times 47. You do all of that, and that brings you to the healthy figure of 23,275. So that's what's happening with question 29. Cool. So that's that video, question 26 to 30 technically, and we'll carry on in the next video with question 31.